So the first one I brought is a really interesting business. It's in the freight brokerage category, which essentially is you in an office. It could be at your house, it could be a small office where you're helping people that want to move goods, pairing them with carriers that have trucks and logistics and routes, et cetera. And then you're making the spread on what that vendor is willing to pay to move their items and what the supplier is willing to charge for moving those items.
Okay.
And so you make the difference. It's really B2B sales, so it doesn't cost a lot to get into this. But some of these individuals are putting up really big numbers. Let me pull exactly what the average is. So the average franchisee in this business is doing over $1 million a year in revenue. And this is a mature UK and Europe-based concept that's moving to the US for the first time. They're actually headquartered here in Dallas.
Okay. So you say $1 million a year in revenue. That's not like an industry-wide statistic. This is for this franchisor.
This brand specifically.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm flashing back to high school. It's been a good 22 years now. My best friend was Chase, and his dad owned a freight brokerage company. And it was his dad's that he inherited from him, and Chase will inherit it from him. And I'll never forget this because I'd go to Chase's house and be like, oh, where'd you go on vacation? Salt Lake. Oh, I just shipped a load of onions from Atlanta to Salt Lake. Oh, where'd you go on your mission here? Oh, I just shipped a bunch of cabbage. Like, that's what he did. He would pick up the phone and say, oh, you need this load moved? All right, I can do it for this much, I can leave on that. And then he would just take a margin on that shipment. Is that accurate?
That's exactly how it works.
Okay. And then recently when Tesla announced their Tesla Semi, I reached out to my friend Chase. I'm like, dude, what are you going to do, man? These trucks, they're going to drive themselves. And he's like, we're going to buy some. Like, we will own them. We won't need as many truck drivers. So this feels like a pretty AI resistant industry.
Yeah, I think so. Because even if the trucks get more efficient, they're still going to need people drumming up interest of people that need to move goods and services, or mostly goods with the logistics piece, whether those are automated trucks or people behind a wheel. There's still gonna have to be some sort of brokerage happening in the middle. Eventually, do algorithms come in and fully wipe things up? Probably, but I think we're a decade away from that, and there's still plenty of money to be made over the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, just like anything, like 3 years ago, everyone's like, wow, every white collar job is done. And now it's like, actually, this is growing jobs. AI is growing jobs. Actually, wealth managers want a human. Business owners that have accountants, they kind of want a human to talk to. Even if ChatGPT does it better, they want a human that uses ChatGPT so they can be better. I feel like this is an industry that goes along the same lines.
Especially if you're moving hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of goods across the country, you don't want to just click a button and be like, I hope that this gets where it needs to go on time and doesn't get damaged or ruined along the way.
So you don't need an office. The franchise doesn't require you to have an office. You could work from home. You're on the phone a lot, emails. It's a relationship business. I'm assuming once you get in with a good company, then they're probably going to send you a bunch of shipments on a regular basis.
Yep, and they've built all the tech, the back end. They help with the carriers. They help you with initial customers. And that's where things get a little complicated. It's like, how do you price things and how do you do that? A lot of these independent freight brokerages build this in-house. It's a lot of money, software engineers, et cetera. And so they provide all of that. The kicker, though, is they do charge one of the highest royalties that I've seen in franchising outside of Chick-fil-A even. Or Chick-fil-A is the highest. They're up there. They charge 30% royalty on the gross margin, not on the revenue.
Okay.
And this is actually common in freight brokeraging for a number of reasons because of all the investment into technology, and the relationships are pretty defensible.
Okay, so let's break that down. Let's say that there's a shipment from, Los Angeles to Seattle, and it's a $10,000 shipment. Break that number down. Where does all the money go there?
Yep. So you'll make about a 40-ish% margin on the 10, let's say, was it 10,000? 10,000. So you'll make $4,000. Then the franchisor is taking 30% of that $4,000.
$1,200.
So they'll take $1,200. The rest is left for you to cover any local expenses you have if you do rent an office, if you have decided to start scaling and hire more sales reps, more account executives. That cash will be left for them. Otherwise, you're pocketing the rest if it's just you and a home office.
Okay.
Your cost of goods in this freight brokerage example on the 10K is $6,000 in cost. So you're left with $4,000. The franchisor is taking 30% of that.
Yeah. Okay. And presumably it's because your overhead's not that high, right? Whereas with a restaurant, that 30% might be 8%. And I'm hoping and assuming that they help you find customers.
Yes.
Because if I'm a franchisor and I take such a fee, it's going to be because I'm feeding them leads all day. Good
leads, and then all the technology, and they are handling all of the back office. They're running all of your invoicing, carrier payments, carrier relationships. Really, you're just effectively B2B sales.
Yeah. Okay. I have to think that since this is a relationship business, the churn is pretty low. Like once you have a good relationship,
It's recurring revenue essentially.
yeah.
And you can upsell into warehouse management, facility management, other services that carriers and buyers need alike.
Okay.
So the average revenue is a little over 1 million across all the different open territories today. And then the average margin is about 40%. So you're making 400K in gross margin before you pay that 30% royalty.
Wow. Okay. So net margin would be 30% less, the 400 grand. Is that right?
Yeah. So take 120K off, you're at 280K
Okay.
average.
28% net margin. Some are significantly lower. Some might be significantly more.
Yep. It depends on what your local operating costs are. If you've got a nice office and you got a team of 6, I imagine the average isn't that big yet. Those are probably the top quartile performers, and they're in the multiple millions, making a lot more that justify adding headcount and an office.
Because if you have a team of 6, your percentage margins are probably going to be lower, but your
volume.
Yeah, your volume will be higher. Your net revenue to your pocket will be higher.
Yep. One of the first franchises in the U.S. doing this, this brand that expanded here has been very successful in the UK and across Europe. So I get excited about this because it's new. I have a buddy too, similar to yours, who he throughout college was trying a number of different things. He was doing music at one point. He was chasing storms. I was telling Max about this. He was doing like hail insurance and hail damage. And he just like couldn't figure out what he was good at. He does freight brokerage now for an independent freight broker. He makes multiple 6 figures now. He, again, didn't have formal training for this. He's just good with people and relationships and jumped into this and is very good at it. And so I like it because it's super accessible. The revenues are high. The cost to get in, which we'll talk about later, is low. I mean, in some cases, sub 6 figures to get started.
Wow. Okay. So if you are a people person, extrovert, don't mind being on the phone, you love conversations, relationships, working from home, it's a good fit for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. What do you got next?
The second one is also really interesting. This is one of the highest revenue generating franchises that I've seen, and it's commercial facility management. So think about office buildings, warehouses, all these different properties. Let's say you and I own a bunch of them together. We now have to deal with landscaping and HVACs going out and janitorial services and striping the parking lot and all these things that come with owning a property. This franchise or this business handles all that. It's one, for lack of a better word, one throat to choke. It's one relationship, and they handle everything else for you. And they make a very, very, very high volume of revenue. The highest grossing revenue franchisee in 2025 in their FDD did over $50 million in revenue. And the average is doing $9 million in revenue.
Holy crap. For the franchisee, not the franchise.
The franchisee.
Did you say facilities management? How is that different than being a commercial property manager?
It's effectively the same thing. You're just handling, I mean, I guess even property managers are handling the whole thing. You're effectively being the property manager for the building, but it's a franchise model instead of an independently owned.
So you're also finding tenants and evicting.
You're not doing that. It's actually just the, it's just the maintenance.
So I guess that would be the differentiator then. It's kind of an unbundled version of a property manager.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with leasing up the units and working with tenants that way.
Okay. We'll make sure that an extra dumpster gets out there, that the lines get striped, etc.
Yep.
You said 6 million was the average?
9 million is the average revenue.
And what are the net margins on that?
So their gross margin is a little over 3. It's 3.3 million average margin, so 33.5% margin off of an average of 9.8 million. It's almost 10 million in average revenue.
Holy crap.
And my guess is that, again, it's almost like this GMV thing. So you hear with like Instacart, they're doing billions of dollars in revenue. Well, they're just transacting billions of dollars of groceries. Instacart's taking a membership fee or some smaller amount. My guess is the revenue is so high here because they're saying, hey, we're charging for janitorial, landscaping, etc. They're having to pay those
capturing that revenue and then passing it on.
Because even the royalty is on gross sales, not margin. But I imagine that 65% that's going out the door is to the subcontractors. And so you're still left with a lot. And you probably don't have a lot of overhead or costs at that point because you're outsourcing every bit of the services actually happening.
Do you know how much like lead generation the franchisor provides on this one?
This one is more on you, and they charge a lot less of a royalty as a result. So it's 5% of gross sales is the royalty.
Okay. Are they going to help you find and vet like the line striper?
So that's on you too. So that's where I think as the franchisee, you're getting a brand. They're helping with some brand awareness and marketing. They probably have national tenant or, landlord relationships with some of the large property owners. But from there, they exclusively say, or they specifically say in the FDD, you are responsible for building the subcontractor relationship. So that's where the rub is, probably the headache of running this business is I got to go find good contractors. But for 3 million in gross margin, and a pretty good business,
Yeah.
worth the headache.
I mean, any given franchise is a terrible fit for someone and an amazing fit for someone else, right? So I'm thinking if you're a 40 to 60-year-old dude that's been doing real estate for a while, either commercial or residential, you've got a bunch of contractors in your back pocket, you have relationships, you speak the language, you could plug into a bunch of stuff, you're a leasing agent, this could be a great fit for you.
Yeah.
If you have no experience there and you're going in cold, you have no sales experience, it could be a terrible fit.
Yeah, I asked too, why are the top five, why are some of these folks doing 50 million? And they said the main differentiator is that they've had 5 years of B2B sales experience before joining as a franchisee. It's fundamentally a sales leadership business.
Okay. So that's the other type of person, B2B sales. Work from home. You don't need an office to do this. Okay. And you can hire as needed. You don't need to start with employees.
Yep.
Is this like an owner operator situation?
I think most franchises, my advice at least, is you should start your first year as an owner operator, learn the business from the ground up, clean the bathrooms, go on the job sites, change the oil, whatever the thing is, do it, because it makes you that much more effective as an owner to train the next group, the management layer that you start to put in place. If you're wealthy enough and you have enough background and business ownership experience, you can leapfrog some of that and hire a GM out of the gate and not be as involved day one.
Okay. I agree with that, by the way. Okay, so far we've covered freight brokerage, facility services, and these are kind of tangential to each other.
Yep.
Kind of tangential skills, work from home, don't need an office, relationship-based, highly recurring, high gross margin potential, low cost of entry. So you might not know this, but this isn't my real channel. My full channel is linked below or right here. Go check that out for full episodes.